the weather outside. That's when you know you're still playing, when it's nice, and you can come in shorts and t-shirts. It's playoff hockey. There's nothing like it.
My man.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Danny, we are over the moon. This has been such a blast. First, before everything, we got so much to get into, but like, how's it been for you? Like, what was Monday night like?
It was amazing. It was amazing to, because it's my first time, on this side of the fence. For years, I was on the ice, and when you're on the ice, you feel a lot less nervous because at the end of the day, you play a little piece in the game, in what happens at the end. You feel you can control the outcome a little bit. That was always my belief. I always believed that the game was waiting for me to make it happen, or to make the big play. That was my approach to every game. Now I'm sitting upstairs, just like the fans, and I'm waiting and watching, and it's a lot more nerve-wracking because I know I don't have a say in the outcome of the game. So I was nervous like everybody else, but to see that save, the goal by Foerster, and that save by Vladar at the end, it was a really cool moment to be a part of it.
It really is. It was. I mean, we go back a long time where you're playing and you're called the show, and we talk about it. And now to this, and Dan Vladar makes the save. And I think about you because you identified Dan Vladar, and he has been the MVP. He gets the MVP award, and he was great all year long.
Yeah, he was. Well, first of all, I want to make sure, it's not just me. We have a group of people. We have goaltending gurus that, did the work and came to me, and this is the guy that we want. So you got to surround yourself with good people, and I'm very fortunate, and that's how it happened with Dan Vladar. But what a story he is. He's been tremendous all year for us, and such a nice guy too. And you wish that good things happen to good people, and to see him come out strong this season, and then all the way, such a clutch game down the stretch, and that game against Carolina, and then you get down to the ultimate moment at the end of the game and in the shootout. I'd be lying if I didn't circle back in my mind a little bit to 2010 when that shootout that we went through when Bush made the save. In my mind, there's a lot of similarities, and that was pretty cool to watch it live, from the top rather than the ice.
It's the truth. It was funny. I was talking to Bush about that, and I go, I get it's apples and oranges. He goes, no, it really it's very similar. And you know what? Like, who knows where it goes from here? But the beauty is, right? Like, the beauty is we have young talent. Like, your vision, you, Jonesy, and now Talk, your vision is starting to come to fruition of youth and talent.
Yeah, and look, the players have played even better than we expected, so they deserve a lot of the credit. Our coaching staff deserve a lot of the credit for putting that team together on the ice and playing the way they played. It's probably a little quicker than we even expected, but it's so cool to see, and to have so many young guys mixed in with some good veteran leadership. That's what I'm excited about. Other than Sean Couturier, I don't know if anybody else has really tasted what it's like to play in the playoffs here. They got a little taste during the season the last couple of years against the Anaheim game. They got a little taste of it the other night, or a big taste of it the other night against Carolina. They saw that building rocking when we scored that first goal to make it 2-1 Carolina. I think the players started realizing, okay, this is special here, and it's going to get even wilder in the playoffs. So that's what I'm really excited about, is to give our young players the chance to experience what it is, and to want it more. We want to keep winning more and more this season and then into the future.
You talk about exceeding expectations. I mean, I don't think, did you even expect Martone to come in and play so beyond his years. Like the little things he does are
Yeah,
incredible. You know, like that goal in Winnipeg, he starts it on the defensive end.
yeah. He's been impressive. No, I don't think it. I could say that I expected this major impact as early as he's been. Now we knew he was a great player. We knew he's going to be, a big piece of our future. But when we signed him, and look, we were expecting him to sign all along. We couldn't wait to get him in the lineup, but we didn't expect him to have as much of an impact as he's had. And to add, Tyson Foerster and him coming down the stretch the last 2 weeks of the season, two guys that can score, long bodies that take up a lot of space on the ice, has changed our lineup.
Oh yeah, I mean, Couturier deserves a lot of credit because Coots goes down, embraces that new role. It allows you to kind of roll those three lines, and you look at it like what Foerster does with that shot. You now have credible credible offense with three lines.
Yeah, exactly. And look, that four line you mentioned, Sean Couturier, he deserves a lot of credit for taking that line to another level. Whoever's on his wing, it's mostly been Glendening on the one side because he's defensively very sound, can win faceoffs on the right side, can kill penalties. He's been a big help. Those guys on the fourth line have been critical too. And Sean accepting of his role is what leaders do. That's why he's the captain. That's why guys follow him and trust him. He's been really impressive.
So Beachkoff, especially the last three games, I mean he's found his way, and it's almost like Martone has really helped him too. Like the Olympic break, he comes back with a real good attitude, but he's been sensational last few games too.
Yeah, he has been. He's elevated his play from the first 2/3 of the season. He deserves a lot of credit. Scored some big goals, some clutch goals coming down the stretch for us to keep us alive, to keep us rolling. And that goal. I mean, it was a great play. Their whole line made a great play on a goal against Carolina to make it 2-1. But that goal,
he's got the patience to wait.
Yeah,
right.
He does.
He's
Yeah,
waiting
that's
for
what he does.
Busty to move.
Yes.
Like you can't teach that.
No, you can't teach that. That's what he does. That's what he's great at. But it was a clutch goal because it ignited the building. It fueled the fans, and our guys just elevated from that point. The fans played a major part in that game, but it started with that goal by Madve.
So, what happened on the road trip out west? Right. So you have San Jose, Anaheim, LA. And it's a tough, and you're in the spot where you just got to stack wins. Yeah. And it felt like that trip, and listen to some of the guys, like that trip mattered. And bonding, what was it about that trip that kind of was the takeoff jet?
I think, and the guys are going to say, well, we believed we could make it. We believed all along that we could do it. But you believe it, but when the action speaks, and then you go and you win 3 big games on the West Coast, which is not an easy thing to do. It turned our season around. All of a sudden, okay, the belief is for real, and the guys realized, I think, at that point that they had everything needed to make a push and make a run. We were worried when we looked at the calendar early in the season. We're like, well, if it comes down to crunch time and we're alive, I mean, that late season West Coast trip is not ideal. It turned out to be the complete opposite. It's what's fueled us coming down the stretch. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was wound up being a blessing. And look, San Jose, tremendous young. They're playing really good hockey. Anaheim, good offenses. Like that, they were big wins. And LA plays a completely different style.
Yeah, but they were all these 3 teams were all competing for a place in the playoff as well. So, and that's what makes it remarkable. We didn't go and face teams that were completely out of the playoffs that had nothing to play for. We played 3 games, 3 teams that were in survival mode, just like we were, and that's what was so impressive.
So the deadline comes, and there's all this pressure. You got to trade Risto. You got to trade him. You got to trade him. And you steadfast. And we go back to moves. Some of the best moves are the moves that you don't make.
Yeah.
And I give you so much credit because there was a lot of noise, a lot of pressure. Go all in on this rebuild, trade everybody. Take us behind the scenes a little bit.
Well, I never like talking too much about trade, but we've tried to be as honest as possible in what we can reveal. And the rumors were there with Risto, and there's a lot of teams calling, so that's not a secret. I've talked to Risto about it before he knew, and you got to give him a lot of credit too for hanging in there and seeing his name and all the rumors. We kept him abreast of what was going on. We tried to be as honest with him as possible, and keep that relationship because if it doesn't happen, just like it did, you need him to keep performing. And look, if we trade him, we're not where we are today. Risto has stepped up his play. The Olympics were great for him, and he came back, and we put him in a role and on the top pairing with Travis Sanheim, playing against all the top lines on the opposition, and he's really stepped up his game. So he's a big part. But for me, I didn't see it as pressure. The fact is, Bristow has another year on his contract. It scared me to trade him away because, people see, okay, you can get some assets coming back. What I was also seeing was the other side, was that, okay, you trade him. Yeah, you've basically given up on the postseason, which at that point, realistically, it was going to be tough to make the playoffs. And we knew that. The part that scared me is all of a sudden, it's a huge hole in your lineup. You're forcing a young guy that's probably not ready for those minutes yet into that spot, and that can derail a career very quickly. We had just traded for David Jiricek. He needs time. We want to develop him the right way. We want to give him the chance to survive. Forcing him or forcing an Oliver Bunk in that spot for me was the scary part. And unless we got a trade that we couldn't turn down, we felt it was better to keep Risto at the moment, try to make a push, develop our young players the right way, assets that we've acquired in the last few years. And that's the other side of me that I was thinking about. It was, okay, we have these assets, but we have to develop them the right way and give them the chance to survive. So that was in essence kind of the gist of it.
Well, you also, so let's go to Zegras for a second, right? So you identify him. We know how that turned out, but you got him now to play center, and I loved how you developed that. How you guys kind of transitioned him to be able to take over the center spot.
Yeah, I think Talk did a great job. Talk and his coaching staff with our players and with Trevor, they did a great job. Giving him the chance to fit into the team, giving him the chance to understand what he wanted from him, the system, how he wanted him to play. A little less responsibilities on the wing for probably 2/3 of the season, and then all of a sudden when Tyson came back, and then Porter was coming on, and then we had a glut of wingers. He tried it back. You tried him back in the middle, and he was a lot more prepared than we all thought, and did a very good job. So the coaches deserve a lot of credit as well as Trevor for his transition back to the middle.
Yeah, let's talk about Talk because he's done just a remarkable job, and I was with him. I don't know, about a month ago, whatever. We were just sitting talking. It was a tough night, and we were just sitting there talking. He's like, one of the things I want to do is get the young kids their own thing, like their own clique, kind of bring them along and give them a little grow together with Mitchkov, right? Have them all together, and it was really interesting how he has really helped that room. Because you didn't really have that true center, that veteran center, right? Like that's going to be your guy, that's your captain, and he's a big leader, like in that way.
Yeah, And you know, I mean, first of all, it's not easy to find, that number one center that
Right.
everybody wants. There's only a few in the NHL, and those teams don't want to move them. They don't want to trade them. So unless you have, a top pick, it's really tough to acquire that. But there's other ways you can do it. And I love what Tuck has done with the young guys. Bring them together, develop them the right way, being patient with them, and not forcing them into situation that are too much for them. We talked about Risto creating a hole if we moved them. You look at the development of our young defensemen. Like Travis Sanheim has been here for a long time. It didn't happen overnight. But and that was the coaches before me even that started that. They were patient with him. They gave him the chance to get his game in order. Cam York, has gotten better and better. There's maybe a little blimp along the way last year, but he came back strong this year. Jamie Drysdale, it would have been easy to quit on Jamie Drysdale right away because it didn't. The results didn't pan out right away. But look at what he's turning out to be, a great defenseman for us. So especially on defense, it's a lot harder. It's a position that takes a long time to develop. I think up front, you can put and plug players in certain holes a little quicker because you're not the last line of defense if something goes wrong. But Talk and his coaching staff have done a really good job at developing our guys the right way.
Well, you know what I love too is the patience that you and Jonesy, like you're like, this is the plan, right? Like we're going to stick to the plan.
And Dan Hilferty,
dude.
Don't forget Dan Hilferty. He's believed in us. He's given us
yes.
the time and the space to do it. Without him, we don't have that luxury. So there's a lot of people along the way that have played a part in this. It's pretty cool, and that's. Hockey's a team game, and it's not just one person. It takes many people to come together, and we see it on the ice with our players. It's just the same thing off the ice.
It was great though with you and Jonesy because there was so much noise about going in house or going back to back being insular, going back with the Flyers, and you guys. I don't think people realize when we were having this discussion today. You guys are different, right? Like. You were in Buffalo during those cup runs, like during the big playoff runs. You've seen other organizations. You know the league. Jonesy saw it from a big picture from Colorado to TV. Like you had perspective that went beyond Broad Street.
Yeah, and I knew even as a player, for me, I was always interested more in management than I was into the coaching. When I always looked at what management was doing wherever I was. Buffalo, we built a really good competitive team that's close to winning a cup. I experienced that in Philly, obviously, but also in Montreal. I saw the beginning of the Colorado Avalanche that are still running through. Nate McKinnon was, the vital piece at the time. When I was there with him, was his second year, and I saw how Joe Sakic and eventually Chris McFarland came in and built that team. So that's the part that always interested me. My heart was always in Philly because I don't know, I feel at home here. But I always took time to evaluate and look at other teams. Jonesy has had the luxury, in the business to see all the teams and also from the ice level. And that's the thing sometimes people forget, broadcasting when he's an analyst on the ice, he sees things that we don't see upstairs. And I thought that was also very valuable to have, on our side.
Yeah, that's huge. Did you enjoy last night? I thought it was a blast. All the kids, like just getting a glimpse of Yurchak and Bonk and Bump and seeing all the kids playing. Did you enjoy that?
I did. I certainly did. And look, they looked good. They played well. It was like, taking a little glimpse into our future, hopefully. And there's a lot more players coming that are not even ready for it. But, to see an Oliver Bung step up, we've been waiting for him for a long time, and he's developed quite nicely. But, you just don't know until they'll get here to see a little bit of that. Hunter McDonald, we've been working with him 3, 4 years. We feel there's something there. Last night's game, he was physical. He kept the game simple. He was, aggressive. He could be one of our big defender that we build from the inside. So it was really cool to see that. And up front, yeah, the Martone, Barkey, and bump line was pretty exciting. Madve had a great game himself. So yeah, all around it was a pretty cool night.
And Nesbitt's coming along, huh? Doing well in the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the next step now. We're looking forward. It was good too last night, just to give our guys that have grinded, put their bodies on the line, to give them a night off, give them the chance to take a little breather before the dance starts, because it's going to get pretty intense. And as we know, there's never anything simple in a Flyers versus Penguins series. So this probably will be wild, and I'm so excited about it.
I know. That's the last thing is, what are you thinking, man? When you see Crosby and Malkin and the Penguins, like, what are you thinking?
Well, that's the part that scares me, because they have the experience. They've been in it. They know how wild these Flyers Penguins series go. So that's the part that worries me. They have a lot of experience there that have been through it. And on our side, other than Coots, like I mentioned earlier, our guys, it'll be their first rodeo. So look, I hope we can get through the first game, get some experience, learn from it, and I know it's cliche. I hate using that, but it's on a game by game basis. We can't look ahead. I'm just so excited that our guys get to experience what it's like to play in the playoffs in the NHL, but especially in Philly and in a Pens versus Flyers series.
Hey, and Danny, congratulations on a great season. I just want to give you a little feel for the city right now. I was at one of my
I love
favorite
that.
dive bars, Dirty Frank's in Center City. And I was telling my buddy, I said, oh, Anthony texted me. I said, oh, we got Danny Briere coming on 11:15. And a woman next to me taps me and she's like, did you just say Danny Briere? I said, yeah. What's he doing? When? Where? I love Danny Briere. So she's an older woman, Sandy, who came into the Flyers in 2009 as a hobby.
Oh
Is
yeah,
now
nice.
a partial season ticket holder and is obsessed with everything you're doing and you're becoming like a GM front office rock star in a Howie Roseman way. Are you realize this is happening?
Well, no, I'm not at that level. What Howie has done is incredible, but he's definitely a good example to look up to. It's pretty cool. It's so much. It's so awesome to see this city support us the way they have, and I've lived it. I know how wild it gets, and this is why I feel at home here. I'm so excited we can do this for our fans once again.
Yeah, it feels great. It just feels like having your friend back, man. It's like our long lost friend. It's like,
Yeah.
this springtime, the nice weather, and Flyers
Oh, I bet.
playoffs, man.
Yeah, yeah. The weather outside, that's when you're still playing, when it's nice, and you can come in shorts and t-shirts. It's playoff hockey. There's nothing like it.
Brother, listen, great job. Just great job.
Thanks
So
for your
happy for you
support, guys.
guys. All right. Listen, good luck, and we'll be bugging you.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.